That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Helps that we're here for you to exist. So apparently somebody in another country has claimed the music in the intro video. Smart move by them, because everybody on StreamYard that uses a countdown uses the built-in timer, and he has claimed it as his or she. I couldn't tell you what the name was, but we got hit with a copyright strike, so it took it down across all of our Facebook platforms, and I know a lot of you like to watch there, so we restarted it. So check out everybody scrolling across the bottom. I'm not going to do the whole thing again. We were like halfway through, but we have a show here to do, and that's what we're going to do. So we have everybody's favorite Gigantopithecus in studio with us, Seth Ellis of the National Professional Fishing League.
Look how he's looking.
Yeah. Is joining us in studio. Talk about, we are going to spend some time talking about early fall transition and how terrible the fishing can be this time of year, but also how good it can be. We're going to talk a little bit about the big news in bass fishing. Of course, the elites announced that they are only going to use forward-facing sonar in up to 5 events, which it did end up being 5, 4 without. They did it by coin toss, so we'll give our opinion on that. But yeah, that's really all going on in the world. You know, everybody else's rules changed last year, so forward-facing bass held court with allowing it in all events, and really took a look at it last year. And there's some conversation statistics released out there to support why they made the decision. And you know, there's a little bit of science behind it, at least from their standpoint, on why they did it. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We're not going to spend the entire show, I hope, talking about that, but I guess we can give our initial thoughts, and I will start. I really don't care. I just am tired of talking about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I don't have an issue with them keeping it in all events. I don't have an issue with them doing away with it in 4. I will say, and a lot of people said that whoever, not that AOI wasn't hard to win before, but if you win it next year, you can honestly say you're the most versatile angler because you have used the technology. You have won without the technology. And it's either going to put up or shut up for a lot of older anglers, because if they don't, if they don't put out in events, they don't allow it, then it just proves that they're aging out of the sport, which does happen. It's part of it. I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. Trey and I talked about it a little bit, I think, this morning. And to be frank, the legends don't really matter in the sport anymore.
Ooh.
I know Seth doesn't like to hear that, but Greg Hackney's not selling baits like he used to. Those guys aren't selling baits like they used to. There's no doubt there's a youth movement in all of fishing. The demographics have shifted when you look at bait companies when they do their surveys and stuff. It's more young anglers that are spending their parents' money on the baits that they want for high school fishing and things of that nature, and adults are not actually getting out of the sport at a higher rate than they're entering the sport right now. So Seth, I know, has an opinion on the legends, but they don't sell baits like they used to. I mean, I never cared what a legend was fishing with. It never mattered to me. I was going to do what I did. Like, the only thing I cared about was what knot they were tying. Like,
I mean, I don't agree.
Knots and lines, but I never like ran out and looked for a bait just because somebody was throwing it.
Let me preface this conversation with, these are only our opinions on the matter.
Yeah. We don't have preference.
We don't have like exact scientific data to back up a lot of these claims. They're just our perspectives on.
All of the data for what I just said is out there for the public to get. Yeah, you
can try to pull it. I don't know if it's all Googleable.
It is, yeah.
But you know, check it out. Check out the fishing industry. Look at the health of the business side of it. Don't worry so much about the tournament side of it, I would say, but I think it all factors into each other. And there's a lot of guys out there that made videos with their perspectives. Everybody's in a different position. But it's fun to talk about, at least a little bit, because, things change in the NFL, like the kickoff, and people talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things change in Major League Baseball or golf or NASCAR or whatever. People talk about it. So we talk fishing, and we asked some of your guys' opinions on the community page. Actually, it seems like most people are kind of indifferent. They don't really give a crap, whatever. They're going to consume the content. But, Pete spoke his, peace of mind on it. Seth Ellis, National Professional Fishing League, good friend of the show, good friend of ours, is here joining us. Thank you for driving all the way down from Durham.
Anytime.
Yeah, and
Durham,
and eating some hamburgers, as Pete called them. Nobody said hamburger since 1952, by the way.
I didn't say hamburger.
He did say hamburger, did he not?
I honestly don't.
He said hamburger. Anyways, it's chaos in my house. We all
Trey
love it.
wants me to say.
What's up, Cody Baylor? What's up, Mom from Kalamazoo, Michigan? I need some more of those red crankbaits. Thanks. But yeah, Seth, you fish a league where that technology that we talked about is not allowed. It was allowed in the first 4 years of the league, right? First 3 or 4 years of the league.
Yep.
The MPFL stood by what they believe is best for their venue.
What's up, P-Dubs?
MLF is doing their version, and now Bass is doing their version. But
stay on track. Let's just talk about Bass.
But that's what I'm going to say. So Bass, right? The Bass Angler Sportsman Society has decided that this is going to be the deal for 2026, not forever. So in your opinion, from your position, what do you think about what's going on?
I'll caveat that. So I watched the live stream yesterday. I think they said they're going to roll with this format for at least 3 years. They've promised the Angler Board that.
Okay. The Angler Board that may not be the board next year based on requalification. So
everybody there is going to requal. I mean, there's maybe except for some of the young guys, but
yeah.
I mean, first and foremost, I don't have a dog in a fight, right? I'm not affiliated with Bass. I don't fish bass. So this is strictly my opinion and my opinion only. I think it's a good move, right? I have my own qualms about forward-facing sonar. And look, I've used the technology. I've owned the technology. I'm not against it at all by any means.
I actually own the technology you owned.
You did. Yep. And Trey seen me use the technology. I'm not against it. I'm not against innovation. I'm not against any of that. I just seem to look at things a little bit different than most people being in the position that I'm in. If we are truly going to call ourselves professionals and just focus on what I'm about to say, let's not bring any extenuating circumstances into the conversation. If we're going to call ourselves professionals and we're supposed to be the
What's
best,
up, Dana?
250, 260 guys through 3 leagues, I think there needs to be
What's up, Ken?
limitations. There needs to be things in place in order for us to showcase our abilities. Now that could be argued both ways, and I understand that. But if you look at every major professional sport, every one of them has a limitation. I don't care what it is. Look at it technology-wise, equipment-wise, it doesn't matter. They all have limitations. I don't think we should be any different. Now, with that being said, we are in a sport that is completely separate from anything else, right? We are a sport that is angler-driven from top to bottom. We fund ourselves basically with the products that we buy and use.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a grassroots angler or an angler at the top of the sport. We continue to drive that train. But I believe it's best for conservation. And here's the reason why. All you people out there that are deer hunters, why can't you spotlight deer at night?
That's a great question.
Why can't you?
You can in some places.
No, you can't.
No, we used
It's
to.
against-
Spotlight Pennsylvania
yeah.
all the time.
My
Legally.
point is against
He's
the law
joking.
because the
No, it was
deer,
legal.
Oh,
100%
deer
legal.
are at
Yeah.
a disadvantage. It's no different than the fish, man.
Nah,
Just,
I don't agree with that.
how you figure?
I don't agree with that argument at all.
I don't know. Give me a reason why.
I can still catch those fish without forward-facing sonar.
No, you won't.
100%.
You will
can.
not catch those fish out in the middle of the lake.
I can go
promise
out.
you that.
I can go out mid-straw and catch those fish without. I won't be as effective of it, but you can 100% still catch those fish. We never knew those fish were there until we had forward-facing sonar.
Well, of course, we
I
knew they
promise
were there. We didn't
you,
know how to effectively.
Guys are
target them.
going to catch them on the Elite Series in the non-forward-facing sonar events in the middle of the lake. They're going to catch the same fish.
No, they won't.
They will?
No, they.
They've
won't
been
be
doing
able
it in
to
Japan
track
for
them.
years, bro, without forward-facing
They
sonar.
will not be able to follow those fish for
Dana.
miles like they do now. I'm just
Here's
telling
the,
they
you
won't
are
be able
taking
to.
you're taking like a less than 1% example of that.
Man, I don't know.
One guy did it on camera last year, and that was what's that dude that had the heart condition, the young guy, Kyle Patrick, chased one that he hooked and lost for like 3 minutes before he caught it.
What about all those guys that have caught the ones that they broke off? They've thrown out again and caught them with jerk baits because they followed them. I'm just against it. It's the ethics of the sport. It has nothing to do with the technology. I believe you should be able to just use your abilities, your mind, your eyes, and read the water, read nature,
And
read the conditions, and make your best educated guess off of that.
I'm with Dana 1,000% on this. Finding fish and catching fish are two different things.
And you don't think forward-facing sonar eliminates the hard work of having to find them?
I don't care about finding. You still got to catch them. There's plenty of guys that can't catch them even with forward-facing sonar. I've watched it. They can find fish all day and not catch them. It still take. Here's the other thing we got to remember. Like, we grew up without it. The kids are eventually, this is going to be the normal. Like, we're dying. We're not going to have say in this forever.
I don't think so, because look at the local trails that are cutting.
It doesn't matter. All that matters is the youth, Seth. We're not going to be fishing forever. Eventually, the youth that have been growing up with it are going to take over, and it is going to be accepted. It's going to be the norm. You think all these high school kids that are growing up, they're going to go to college, they're going to become executives, they're going to end up working at Bass? You think they're going to eliminate technology that they grew up with and loved? No. It's going to be the normal. It's coming. Like, this is a delay, in my opinion. I'm with you. I think it's a great idea. I like the fact that they're only doing it in half the events, doing something different. But
so why did, and I haven't read the press release. Why did they decide to do it? If everything is so good,
so
everything is so profitable, and our viewership is so high, why?
There's two reasons why. The primary was when they went back and they reviewed all the anglers' footage, because they have to have GoPros around everybody else. They built the schedule last year intentionally to be heavy towards events they thought that it wouldn't factor in. And that is not what happened. It factored. So they do not want technology to drive the competition, which it was doing. So this was the compromise. You still need to have and showcase that technology, but they also don't want it to drive the competition. And that's what it was doing. So, like, if you listen, especially in the first, not the first one, when they got to Murray and Santee Cooper, they brought John Cruz on for the coin flip, and he hit the nail on the head. They were like, where do you want it? He said, I would rather have it at Santee than Lake Murray, because at Lake Murray, only about 10% of the anglers were actually using forward-facing sonar. The rest were pulling up on those fish that were feeding on the herring, and they didn't need them. They didn't even turn it on.
When are they going to Murray?
They're going in May, I think. Yeah, May 7th through 10th. So same time they were there last time, just about. But Santee, they wanted it because the fish are in the grass. They're a little bit harder to find. It's nicer to be able to run around and look for them. But from the schedule over the last 2 years, when they looked and they reviewed footage, it dominated. Like, forward-facing dominated, and Bass didn't want that to be the dominant factor in the tournament. And that's what they were saying.
Let me ask you this question, and I'll provide my opinion later.
But let me finish answering his question. The other one was the angler board, the board of anglers. They presented an option where they didn't eliminate technology, but they limited it to events, and Bass agreed that was probably a good idea, because what the majority of the anglers wanted when they voted. So those were the two big. Don't even talk about Omni, Dana. We don't even want to talk about Omni.
Let me ask you.
That hasn't made it to bass fishing yet.
So Pete, obviously nobody's right and wrong here. Everyone's just got an opinion, right? And I'll provide mine. But I wanted to ask you. Seth said that those anglers aren't going to catch those fish out in the middle of the water without live scope, and you said yes, they are. My question is, if they are going to catch them, then why are guys concerned about when the forward-facing sonar is being used at certain events? Because they're more effective. You can catch them more effectively. It's not that you can't catch them. Sure. Yeah. It's just far more efficient when I can look at them. And to Seth's point, I can pull up on a school and I can only target the big fish, right? Now I find the school, I can still target and catch those fish. I can still mid-stroke, I can bottom stroke. I got to figure out where they are. I can still catch them, but I'm not as effective.
fish.
Mhm.
So now I'm fishing maybe an area, right?
Yeah.
Where I know fish are suspended, or I'm fishing a suspended school instead of looking for those outlier bigger ones.
Yeah.
So guys are still going to catch them. We've been catching. We caught them on the Great Lakes. Like we caught smallmouth suspended in the middle of nowhere for years using 2D.
Mhm.
Folks that grew up and fished up there a lot. It's not that you can't do it. To Seth's point, like, I know what you're saying, Seth, and I don't disagree with you. You're just not nearly as effective. Guys didn't fish for those fish before. We knew they were there, and I'm going to tell you why. And this is my opinion: why we never fished for those suspended fish before is because all these greats that came before us said you can't. Those suspended fish don't bite.
Mm.
You can't catch those suspended fish. We could find them on our graphs. We knew they were there, but they always said those fish don't feed. They're out there suspended. They don't bite. Well, we learned with forward-facing sonar. Those fish will feed.
Mhm.
You can get them to bite
Mhm.
if you target them. So I could be completely wrong. They may not even try to find them, but I think some of these young kids that are good will go out there in mid stroll. You'll see the spy bait come back again. It's a bait we haven't seen as much as you used to see.
I just got 3 new ones.
Yeah, like baits like that, you're going to see, I think, make a revival. I guess a revival of some of those baits where
Yeah.
you can cover water and clear water fisheries, and you're fishing for those. I don't know. We can guess what it's going to do. I don't agree or disagree with it. The one thing I do disagree with, and some folks have said it in the comments, is they don't think it belongs at the top levels of fishing. And I completely disagree with that. I think that's the only place it belongs. I don't think you should have it until you
See,
get
and
to the
I
top
disagree
levels.
because here's the difference. You're a corporate America fellow, right? You work 40 hours a week, maybe more sometimes. Let's say you have a son, and as you get older, your job demands more, and so less time you get to spend outdoors. So the little bit of time that you have, you get to spend with your son. And he wants to go fishing, and you know that yes, for you it's about quality time, but for your son to keep him interested.
I'm not talking about wreck fishing.
That's my point, though. The top levels of the sport shouldn't have it. It should be used for folks that don't have the time to, or have had the ability to spend a lot of time on the water. That should be them to say, okay, you know what? I've only got 4 hours. My son, my daughter, my grandson, my granddaughter. I want to go out here and have a good time. I want to make memories. I want to see them smile when they catch their first bluegill. And if I can use forward-facing sonar to do that, then so be it. But the best in the world shouldn't need it.
Yeah, if I'm fishing for $100,000, I 100,000% want it. Doesn't matter if I need it. I want it.
Mm.
If I'm fishing for a living and trying to make a living, I want every tool that I can have at my disposal to make me more successful. We got to get out of this mindset that because somebody goes out and drags a jig shallow that they're a better angler than somebody. That is
That's
a moot
not
point at this point.
No. It's not about what
These
bait
kids
you
are
throw.
better than any of these old guys, even if they're out there
You
pinging a
are
minute. I'm
crazy.
sorry.
You're crazy.
It's blue trophies are what matters. And I haven't seen some of these dudes win a blue trophy in a long time. And you can blame forward-facing sonar. Some of them weren't winning before forward-facing sonar.
But so the ones that I'm talking about have and will continue.
I haven't looked, Cody, if there's a limit in practice.
They're not allowed to use it in practice for the no forward facing sonar.
So there you go. Yeah.
Just-
events.
I didn't read all that.
Right.
So,
So
they're
the
not allowed to
no
use it.
forward facing sonar events, they're not allowed to use it. For the forward facing sonar events, they are
Yeah,
allowed.
technology is
to use
only
it.
going to further develop. Just because you have forward-facing technology doesn't guarantee you a win.
But
Yep, you're exactly right, Ken. And then Charlie Schmitz, and I agree with you. The difference between spotlight analogy, and this is why I don't agree. Cody said it better than I did, or Charlie said it better than I do. Bass has to bite a bait. You got to make it feed. A deer doesn't have a choice if you're going to shoot it. A bullet just hits it. It's not like I'm out there dangling a piece of corn trying to make the deer. And I agree. Like
I see that, but I also see the fact that when you dangle about the most natural looking bait in front of a bass,
They're an opportunist.
they're an opportunist. However,
hold on, Trey.
I am pretty good with the technology, and I can tell you right now, like that is not the case a lot of the times.
There's
right?
plenty
So
of times this fish
I
won't
can
bite.
counter my own argument because I know that forward facing sonar makes you more efficient on the water. I think there is a skill associated with it, but nevertheless, I think that some guys may use that as a one trick pony. We've seen that before, right?
Were you the so go ahead.
Elijah,
Go
he
ahead.
sort of. He said if forward facing changes the game, because if you see the fish moved, you're not going to waste your time. If you don't have it, you don't know if they're still there or not, or how many fish are there. If those guys knew when they left, I can tell you when they leave without forward facing. I have 2D transducers. I put at angles so I can watch structure and stuff. When you get to a level like that, there's different tricks you learn to be able to do that. We were using forward-facing sonar on docks up north before forward-facing sonar was a thing. We were mounting 2D transducers at 90 degrees and look up underneath docks to see the fish in there, and you can your bait go up underneath there. So all of this stuff has been being done for a very long time. We just didn't have the ping rate and the technology we have now to make it 100% real time, where I can actually watch my minnow and fins move and stuff like that. But
So here's my opinion. I'll give a quick opinion on this. I think forward-facing sonar has a place at the highest level of bass fishing because there are numerous venues at the highest level of bass fishing that offer different consumer approaches to their stuff, right? So the league, you guys don't use it. MLF is part-time using it. Now Bass is part-time using it. I say that because I truly believe when you're talking about grooming and listen, we need to separate recreational angling from the sport of bass fishing, because
you're absolutely right.
It's
I say it all the time.
Vastly different, because the majority of people that fish don't fish the way we do, right?
Yeah.
So there's a different demographic in the industry of fishing, right? It's the same thing. There's a different demographic in football, right? There's flag football.
It is already here, Dana.
So on and so forth. But my thing is this, like, I think, you have to sell the future. And all sports sell the future. Yeah. Golfers use the best golf clubs. NFL uses the best equipment.
They're wearing helmets in NFL. Right. They didn't 30 years ago.
MLB now, they got mics and stuff. They don't do the hand signals anymore with the catcher. Like, the pitchers hear what the next pitch is going to be, and they agree or disagree. Like, there's a lot of technology associated with the highest level of bass fishing. Do I think that forward-facing sonar diminishes some of the I'm gonna give you some credit here. Do I think forward-facing sonar diminishes some of the intuitive angling ability? I do. I do. Right.
Can I add one thing? It does, but it has not affected the kids that are there now yet.
No, I'm not saying anything about the youth right now.
But there's a generation of youth that's fishing right now that it 100% has impacted the intuitive angling of this.
And so, we may be talking and creating dialogue about this, but at the end of the day, we don't even know yet.
Yeah.
We don't even truly know yet. There hasn't been enough time
Dana
associated.
I don't disagree.
But I'll say this.
I think they should go back to 150s and 17-foot boats, Dana, but nobody wants to listen to
Seth me. Even we talked yesterday, you talk. So let me finish this. I think if you truly care about the sport of bass fishing, like the competitive side, from high school all the way to the highest level of bass fishing, and you talk about like high school, collegiate, opens, right? So I guess that'd be like JV, and then like varsity team, which is like the Elite Series and BBT or whatever in NPFL.
Yeah.
If you truly give a crap about the skill set that's going into
Court release at iPad kids.
So then you would say at the high school level, you shouldn't have it, right?
Agreed.
And at so on and so forth, you shouldn't have it. So by the time you get, if you're fortunate enough and good enough to get to the highest level of competition, you already have all those skills that every single old person and every single internet troll is saying you don't have, right? That's really what it boils down to. That's just my opinion. And then bass can do what they do. You're using it, and 50% of the time you don't, because you're the best in the world, right? Like, whatever.
I fully agree, and we've talked about that, Trey. I don't think you should be able to have it until you make it to the elites or the BPT or the MPFL. You need to learn those intuitive skills. But when I get to where I'm fishing for $100,000, I want every tool at my disposal. Now, here's the argument, and I know you're thinking it, or somebody out there is thinking it. Well, they don't use aluminum bats in Major League Baseball. You're right, because that's a player safety concern. They would be killing people with line drives coming off of aluminum bats. It's different. You cannot compare that technology. And then to Ken Wells' point, he said the same argument was said when side and down imaging was released. Look how that changed the game. You're absolutely right. People forget they wanted to hook Kevin Van Dam to a truck and drag him down the street until he was nothing but a bag of bones. because he was out there catching fish on a jerkbait in the middle of the lakes because of side and down imaging, because he knew how to use that technology when nobody else did. They wanted to run him out of the sport. It was going to ruin bass fishing. There ain't going to be no fish left because we can find them where they can't hide. It didn't do anything. Didn't impact it. Changed the way we fished. It opened up new water. Same thing here. Plenty of science going on right now. Plenty of fish studies. As of now, there has been zero proof that forward-facing sonar has had any impact on populations of fish in any state where they've done a study.
But let me say
To
this.
date. I'm not saying that won't change.
But let me say this. I will say that, and I don't know about the other species of fish. Bass are becoming like they do with every piece of technology, and technology isn't electronics only. Technology is baits. Technology is boat motors. Technology is whatever. Bass are becoming more sensitive than they've ever become, in my opinion. What I've seen, they've become. Now, there's certain times of the year that it doesn't make a difference, right? The spawn, it doesn't make a difference, right?
Yeah, and lake dependent.
So
Some
on
lakes.
and so forth. But I think one of the things I wanted to bring up, which Seth and I talked about at nauseum yesterday, was, and this is to get. I'm going to give Milliken the credit, whether you like him, love him, or love him, hate him, or you're indifferent on Milliken. I think he made a really good point. This is just my opinion. Go ahead.
Legalized jet drives. Corbett said, don't disagree with you there. Elijah Talley said, what about 50 years from now? Will anglers be too dependent on technology? Probably. And that's why I'm saying, and Trey said, you got to ban it at the grassroots level when you start as a kid, all the way up until you make it to the top echelon of the industry. So you grow up tournament fishing, you're going to have to know how to catch those fish without it, right? You're going to have to learn how to drag a Carolina rig, do all that stuff. But once I make it, now you're going to get to practice in the off season. Granted, it's not just going to go away, but it's not the sole focus. Go to a high school tournament right now. And if it's 200 boats, 196 of them are pinging a minnow in the middle of a lake.
Yep.
Those kids aren't teaching anything, and they're going to be completely dependent on that technology.
But again, like Seth said, and this is where I agree with him, it sends the wrong message. But
and I'm not trying to cut
no,
you
go
off,
ahead.
but I'm going to tell you.
I want to talk about something really important after.
So, Trey, like I said, we had this conversation yesterday. It's doing the same thing that everything else in society has done. Is it's convenience. It's not teaching kids to put in the work. It's saying, hey, go out there, turn that box on, and don't even leave the ramp.
Right. So take it away from them.
Take it away from everybody, not just the kids.
That's never going to happen. Once you open up the box, there's no putting it back in there. But you can control.
I agree.
You can control who can play with the toy out
And
of it.
I'm not saying we should get rid of it. That's not the argument here. The argument here is at the top level of the sport, why Bass made the decision they did, split it 50-50. Well, obviously there's some problems if the anglers voted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to hear from some of the anglers. Now, here's the problem with that. The anglers can't tell you their true opinion because of the affiliations they have with certain companies. Sure. And I understand that it's self-preservation. I completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
But until you get straight from the horse's mouth why the decision was made, it's all speculation.
Yeah.
We're giving our opinions, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's how we feel about the situation, along with all the viewers out there. I would just like to know why the decision was made at Bass now, other than the PR that they decided to let go of the press release.
It's a great question. I mean, like, and Cody Baylor said, I think I'm on Seth's side there to learn with the fancy tools, but at the top level, you can limit what they want.
Look, I don't want to watch guys go grind for 11 pounds on TV.
I
want to watch them go catch 40 pounds a day.
But I'm glad you said that. Like, why? This is a consumer perspective, right? This is why I love the Sabine so much, and everybody gives me crap for it. Why? And Brian Latimer, and I'm going to give him credit on this one. He made a video about this too. The tournament fishing world at the highest level has made people unappreciate the fact that catching a 2-pounder is a good fish, right? And that really is really what it boils down to, is people are being extremely ungrateful for what they catch on the water, right? So as a consumer, why does it matter if a guy catches 11 pounds a day? But this is everyone's perspective. Does it matter if they catch the weight, or does it matter how they catch the weight? What's more important to the consumer?
It depends
right?
on it. Every consumer is going to have a different opinion.
Exactly, right? And that's
I want to see giant bags. I don't care how they catch them. I mean, granted, I want to see them catching on a frog because it's more fun. But if it takes going out there and catches them on a jerkbait or on a minnow or something, I still want to see 20 plus pounds.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like that's the exact. So every consumer has their own opinion. And then
Corbishley, just real quick, angler committees voted on, and Bass listened. Is his understanding. Whether that's the right call or not, nobody knows. You're right. They did listen to the anglers and a few other points, and they haven't done that in the past. And they got a lot of flack for it last year. If everybody remembers with the rule changes, they did try to make some of them. They rolled back on within 24 hours of announcing them, and others they stuck with. But they haven't listened to the anglers who are important to the league, and they did now. And it was split. I mean, if you look at the voting, some of it's out there. Some of it's out there. There's a very clear line on who voted for what. Most of the kids don't really care. They're like, we're going to go catch them whether we have it or not. But they didn't want to lose the technology because they don't see the issue that the older anglers see coming from it. And I'll tell you why I think so many old anglers, and a lot of people are going to get mad about this, and I don't really care. I've only talked about it in private. I'll talk about it now. Some of our heroes in fishing, the legends, the folks we look up to, got complacent. They didn't care. They stopped learning. They can go out and flip a jig. They can go out and throw a pop bar, catch 10, 11 pounds, cash a 40th place check, and be happy. Can't do that anymore. You couldn't do it.
Not
anymore.
all of them. Though.
Not all of them, but most of them did. Most of them aren't good with the technology, admittedly, and they'll admit to it. And they got behind the curve, and it was hard to play catch up because now they're trying to learn during the season. They don't have as much time in the off season to spend with it because now they have families and commitments. These kids can go full bore fish 360 days a year. They're only home on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Thanksgiving. Other than that, these guys are on the water. So there was an advantage there. And I'm not saying we shouldn't cater to those guys who don't have as strong of an understanding. I think that's why I think this is the right move. I think BPT made a good call going to the 1 period thing. And we saw how much that made a difference. Who won AOI? Jacob Wheeler. Right. So clearly that dude can catch him with or without it, right? We're going to see what it does in bass. Now, let me tell you one thing. These guys that were the loudest about banning it, they better show up in these tournaments where it's not allowed.
Did they name them?
Who? Some of them. Some of them they've been loud from the beginning. Gerald Swindle's one. We're probably going to get his video made. He doesn't care either way, but he was vocal. Chris Zaldane is one. Greg Hackney put a video out about it. You had Bill Lowen talk about it. There was a lot of guys. They weren't outright screaming out in the public face, but they put videos out with their opinion saying they don't think it should be as prominent as it is. Yeah, within the last year. Here's another thing, Seth. A lot of those guys that had exclusive electronics deal have gone away from them because mapping is better with one. Side and down imaging better is one. So a lot of guys don't want to pigeonhole themselves into one. So that's why you start seeing these bass fishing electronics and some of these other companies picking up folks, because then I can give you a discount on multiple brands. You now showcase my company, people come by them for me, but you can get the best of everything. So that has led to some people speaking out a little more about it. There's still guys that have those deals and they haven't said anything. The guys that have electronics deals haven't said a word.
Of course.
And it's smart. They can't.
Right.
But some of the folks have. And I'm not saying like the Hackneys and those have been super loud, but they have said their opinion was they thought it was too prominent. And they voted to limit it.
Bill Lowen won this year.
I know.
Yeah. And he definitely earned it.
Yeah.
Right? Because he knew exactly what was going on. The same thing with Pat Schlopper. I mean, he talked about it, like reading the water at the Mississippi River and understanding how the weather and how the UV and cloud cover affected in dirty water affected everything in the Mississippi River out of, I don't know, all the 9 pools that they fish or 6 to 9 pools that they fish. But
all right, I'm tired of talking about this. Let's go.
But the last thing that I want to say on this, and I think this is important. The one thing that drives me nuts is the fact that forward-facing sonar has been so polarizing. And Seth, you're in this position, and we talked about it. But forward-facing sonar has been so polarizing that it has literally sucked in everybody's attention.
Not mine, buddy.
But, and I say everybody relatively, but why hasn't professional bass fishing, why haven't they focused on things that truly matter? Right?
That's the $1 million question.
Like $1 million endorsement contracts, like big time 401ks, like big time health insurance cover, like, and I'm just throwing random stuff out there, but you know, and I'm stealing this from Milliken too. So Milliken, if you hear this, like, hey dude, like appreciate you saying this, but like that was the biggest thing that he was disappointed by when he got onto the ABP was that was the first topic and pretty much the last topic of discussion that was brought up. But why in the hell aren't we talking about why are the payouts still $100,000? Why are guys still trying to steal from this small piece of pie that they've been having to steal from for the last 20 years? Why aren't we talking about why don't I get paid to show up at the national level? Why am I still gambling?
Anglers don't want that.
I don't understand why.
Because the gambling is why they do it.
I don't know. I
The
know
gambling-
people who are fish a different organization to get paid to show up.
There are some, but
Yeah.
the gambling is the reason. If you didn't have to bet on yourself, why would you go fish a tournament? Why would you care? If I'm getting paid $150,000 a year, whether I win a tournament or I get my teeth kicked in everything, why would I care? I'm just going to show up. I'm going to cruise around and throw a frog
Because
and
as a
wide
competitor,
open water.
you still want to be.
But it doesn't mean anything then. If I don't have money earnings, if my living doesn't depend on it, doesn't mean anything at that point.
So what you're saying?
You're just fishing for a trophy.
It's
Like
no different than a professional athlete.
there,
guy
no,
comes out-
you,
wait a minute,
so
wait,
we
wait,
have
wait,
got
wait,
to
wait.
stop comparing fishing to being a professional
I understand
athlete.
that,
You
but
cannot
what
compare the
I'm
two.
going to parallel this right here. If you got a kid that's played nothing but college football and he's the number 1 overall pick, right? He signs a 4-year, $48 million deal. It doesn't matter if that kid is good or not. He's got $48 million.
Yeah.
As a competitor, you still want
Plenty.
to be,
There's plenty of those guys that went. Jamarcus
Well,
Russell got
yes.
fat and didn't try.
yes.
There's plenty of
But there
there's plenty of
also
use cases.
that are plenty that want to be.
There are, but it's also there. It's a different thing. You're not betting on yourself. Then those kids are playing for that money. They've never had money. Most of those kids have been poor their entire life.
Well.
I think it's hard to compare. It's not an apples to apples comparison.
I agree.
So it makes it hard to talk about that. To be honest, I don't think the anglers want it because most of them would get lazy. They would.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, I would be lazy
You mean want forward?
if I'm just getting paid.
No,
No,
just-
if I'm just getting
oh,
paid to show up,
Oh,
not everybody has that competitive drive, and they need that. They need the adrenaline dump of maybe not making their house payment this month.
Well,
Like that's the kind of stuff that drives some of those guys.
that's not adrenaline. man.
For some
That's
people,
real
but
life.
you don't have a gambling. A lot of these dudes have gambling addiction.
Oh, wouldn't that be
These guys that are on their 4th and 5th like bankruptcies and mortgage their
Oh.
house 9 times and have $140,000 in credit card debt. Those dudes have a gambling
Yeah, and
problem.
you're right.
And that's what drives them. And if that went away, I just don't think you would have as good a product in fishing. It works in other sports. I don't think it would work in fishing. And I think that's part of it. They tried it. And not that the product wasn't as good, but they used to have it back in the day. You want to know why those deals are never coming back? Because there wasn't any value to the people that were providing them. When you had the Penske team and the Kellogg's team, and they were providing boats and trucks and salaries to these dudes, and they were driving them all over the country. If there was value in that, it would still be happening. There was clearly no value in it. And I don't think you'd have. Jesus.
sorry.
You broke it now.
No, that's good.
These guys are freaking. Especially no, but I just don't think you'd have the value. And I appreciate what Milliken's saying, but I don't. That's just not the sport.
I just think like
the sport
if
doesn't
you
have
wanted
that.
If you wanted to create that drive, then you make the cuts even stronger, right? Like I just, like I can't get behind when they call professional bass fishing a sport. I can't believe you just opened that. I can't believe they call, professional bass fishing a sport.
Give him that.
Suck it off the table. But at the same time, like legitimately they are gambling, and I get betting on yourself. But at the same time, like I think if you made the rules even, more stringent, like, hey, the cuts were bigger and hey, you're going to get traded or you're going to get kicked out if you don't perform. Like I got it. Maybe that'll create competitive drive, but socialism has never worked in the history of ever.
You're still getting kicked out now if you don't compete. So
yeah,
it's not
that's
going
true.
to change anything.
But
I don't think.
I mean, like, again, these are all of our own opinions. And I think all of them are valid, to be honest with you. I don't think there's an invalid opinion. And I think only time will tell.
It doesn't matter because guess what? in 2 weeks, I'm going to load the truck up and head to Logan Martin.
That's right.
And next year, if something changes and I can fish something else, and if it's there, I'm going to fish.
And Logan Martin, and that's a great transition. Unless Pete's got anything else.
No, I agree with you, Mike. You said you can't make it to the top level without the drive to begin with. But if you start handing people checks, it changes people's drive, and it just, I think it makes it different. I don't see it working in bass fishing. And bass fishing is not a sport, and I call it the sport sometimes too, but it's the furthest thing from a sport.
I agree. I mean,
Just like horse racing is not a sport. People call it a sport. It's not a sport. You're just running a horse around the track.
I think it takes a lot of athletic ability, but watching Seth and Cole and Josh Hooks and the rest of the guys that we know that fish, and Mike Corbishley and all the guys that are friends of ours, watching them legitimately hustle to no end to try to make it to the next tournament. Like, to me, that's where it's not a sport. Like, you're trying to get to the casino to play the slots again.
It's just gambling, bro. And somebody like do it, but it's nothing more than gambling.
But that's the pipe dream that Seth was talking about, like selling that narrative, selling that message to the youth. Like, if you're young and you're listening to this, like, there's so much more than forward facing sonar technology that goes into bass fishing. There's so much more than having $100,000 bass boat or more that goes into bass fishing. There's nothing wrong with fishing the banks. Like
he said, need day jobs for sure. Yes, like, sir. You need a day job.
This is not a cheap,
100%.
Yeah, this is not a cheap sport, gambling hobby, whatever.
It's not a cheap hobby.
It's just not cheap, man. And that's just the way it is. So therefore, do your best, hustle. And if you want to bet on yourself, get into
chase your dreams and have a backup plan.
100%. Right. But Seth, you talked about going down to Logan Martin.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be fishing the fall.
Yeah. Well, transition,
right.
Yeah.
And we talked about that. We got about 20 more minutes left in the show here, but that's a great segue to talk about how tough, but maybe how productive this time of year is. And we can all provide our own unique perspectives, but from your perspective, like, what is the, maybe if you were to talking to the audience, like, what is your advice when it comes to fishing in this time of year?
Grind. Keep your head down and grind, keep moving. Because this time of the year is so dependent on bait, right? There's a small period of time, at least here in the Carolinas, where there's a transition period where either the bait moves first or the bass move first. And if the bait move first, then obviously there's not a lot of fish up there, so that the fishing can be tough. But if the bass move first and the bait hasn't moved off the main lake or out of deeper water yet, then their forage species changes for just a shorter period of time, maybe 2-3 weeks. And it could be crawfish, it could be small perch, it could be bluegill. So don't be afraid to adapt on the fly for sure. But I always tell people, just move, keep moving, because that's how you're going to figure things out. If you decide, hey, I'm going to stay in this creek today and I'm going to learn everything about this creek, well, that's all well and good. You might learn every rock, every stump, every grass bed, every drop off, every channel turn, you name it, is in that creek. But if there's not bait there and there's no bass there, you're not learning anything. Right. So the biggest thing is keep moving. And this time of year, more so probably than any time of the year, this is about spurts, right? You can fish for 4, 5, 6 hours, and all of a sudden you hit a stretch where there's feeding fish, the bait's lined up, it's the right time of day, and you can turn, a 15-minute period of just pure chaos into the best part of your day because you've just found a wad of them. Mm-hmm. And then you'll finish the rest out of your day looking for something else because it's just the way it goes. They become very pelagic. They come nomadic this time of year. And they're not easy to find. I mean, that's just and I've been doing it a long time. They're still not easy to find this time of year. Yeah. Just because you have bait doesn't mean you have fish, right? But the bait points you in the right direction.
So without, and Pete, I'm going to get to this because Pete brings up a really good point on certain fisheries, but I think it really happens in a lot of them, especially the ones that are gizzard and threadfin shad driven. But, Pete talks about, like, sometimes there's so much bait.
It's a problem.
That it's a problem, right?
If there's that much bait in the creek, I just leave.
So depending on if there's so much bait, some bait,
or throw like
or not a lot of bait, what are your key bait choices if you were to put 5 rods on your front deck or whatever, what would you? So I'm going to talk about bait choices first, and then I want to talk about something else.
Okay.
What are your bait choices this time of year?
I'm going to have probably 4 moving baits and something to slow down with.
Okay.
One of those is going to be a KVD 1.5 or 1.0, depending on the size of the forage in the lake I'm fishing. I'm going to have some type of top water, right? And it's all interchangeable. Might be a buzz bait, might be a walking bait, might be a the new Strike King Clicking Chicken. It just depends on where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And then I'm going to have some type of wire bait, whether that's a bladed jig or a spinner bait. And if you can get the theme here, they're all bait fish imitators. And then I'm going to have something to slow down with, whether that's a shaky head or some type of Texas rig or even a jig, depending on the cover in the lake. Those are the 5 rods that I'm gonna have through the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it might be a day where you've got cloud cover, wind. I might just throw nothing but 5 top waters all day, right? Given the water temperature and the current conditions. And then it might be a day where it's high bluebird skies, it's slick. Then I might have to slow down, and I might have 2 or 3, bottom baits on the deck. But for the most part, I'm going to keep those 5 rods on the deck, and I'm going to try to figure out the day with those 5 rods.
Sure. I'm going to ask you something else here in a minute, but Pete's really good at a certain bait. He's good at a lot of bait techniques, but there's one bait that you didn't talk about. But Pete, in the fall transition, keep your mouth closed. You're not holding it right.
Took 45 minutes to take 5 baits.
In the fall transition, what are you talking about when it comes to your bait selection?
You only need one. It's an A-rig. Just tie on an A-rig, start chucking that thing around.
2 foot of water.
No, I mean, I've caught him in 2 foot of water in an A-rig. Like,
it's actually a really good bait choice. By the way.
It can be. It's one that I usually will have tied on this time of year is an A-rig. A lipless crankbait. I'm always gonna have that tied on because I can fish it like a square bow. I can fish it like a jig. I can yo-yo it. I can do anything I want to do with it. I'll typically have a spinner bait, a smaller framed spinner bait tied on. I'm not a fan of a bladed jig this time of year. That's just personal preference. I don't catch as many fish on it in the fall as I do in the spring and early summer. I prefer a spinner bait. And then usually a jig, because to Seth's point, if you can get away from those big wads of shad we get on a lot of our lakes down here, and you get into some of those pockets that don't have the bait fish like that, they're usually keying in on bluegill or crawfish. And I can imitate those with a jig. And then always a buzz bait and or a popper or a walking bait, just depending again on kind of what the fish are doing. If I'm trying to target those bluegill eaters, those crawfish eaters, I'm gonna throw a buzz bait. If I'm around smaller schools of bait that they're schooling on and coming up feeding, then I want a popper or a walking bait.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of situational dependent. But then again, I'm like right there with Seth. High bluebird skies, I'm gonna have a jig, shaky head. Another bait that I throw a lot of times this year is a very small swim bait, just a single swim bait on a lead jig head, a little 2.5 inch or something like that, because it matches that bait a lot of times this time of year really well. And I like to throw it on a BFS because then I have a bait caster. I can work a fish a little harder. But
yeah,
there's a theme. Like we're all going to say pretty much the same thing: moving bait, bottom bait, top water. And it's just kind of, you got to let the fish tell you what they want that day.
Yeah, 100%. I'll give you mine, then I'll talk to you specifically about this. I think having a square bill tied on this time of year is probably a good idea, especially if you're in a fishery that has a lot of rock and stuff like that. Like square bills can produce a lot. Seth talked a little bit about a 1.0 and a 1.5. I threw a 1.5 today. Granted, I only caught a mudfish on it, and he took it with him. So maybe it's floating somewhere in the lake. But
that mudfish.
Yeah, it was a big one too. But
that's what you sent in the video of.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Broke that one off.
Oh, dude, right at the boat. I didn't show you that part of it because I wasn't filming that. But but I've really grown fond of a chatterbait this time of year. And one of the biggest things that I learned about it was you can cover a ton of water, and I didn't really realize how effective, and you guys have been throwing them for a long time, and I've thrown them too. I didn't really realize how effective a bladed jig, whether it's a Thunder Cricket, a one cast fishing bladed jig, a jackhammer, doesn't matter. And they all have their different purposes, but how effective it can be in legitimately slick, calm water, right? Because it's dispersing that water. And, one of the things that you can do with it is you can put a straight tail, like a spunk shad, on the back of it, and it's going to hunt, or you can put a paddle tail on the back of it and you're going to be able to float that a little bit better. So you really got to dial that in. But if you guys are throwing a bladed jig of any sort, like, it is a really great bait to cover water. But I agree with you, Pete. Like, depending on the circumstances, like, it may not be the best bait choice, and I'm going to have top water tied on all day.
I think Jeff Hodges is right. Extremes, extra small or extra large is a great time of year to throw a big glide.
And then I was going to bring that up, right? Like, I'm no expert by any means. I'm literally
I don't talk about it. Most people throwing them.
As most juvenile as I can be.
Unless it's a tater hog.
But if you go
throw
back,
a tater hog.
Pete keeps stealing my thunder here, but if you go back and listen to our last episode, which dropped on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can listen to Matt McBee, Tater Hog himself, talk about glide baits, the Hogfather Jr., all these different ones that he has to offer and when they're most effective. And right now it's getting to the time where you guys can throw that around a lot of standing timber, laydowns, docks, things like that, and you can pick off a lot of fish. What I did want to ask Seth, though, and Pete, is, so you talked about bait selection, but what are you looking for on electronics, though? Not forward-facing sonar. We don't have to talk about that because honestly, forward-facing sonar.
I don't have it.
Well, yeah, you don't have it. I have it. This time of year, forward-facing sonar can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I'm here to tell you right now, because when the water flips and it turns over and the oxygen is evenly dispersed, those fish can be legitimately anywhere in the lake.
Like
so
like that right now.
yeah, so from your perspective, using your Humminbird Explorers and stuff like that, 360, what are you looking for electronics wise?
I'm looking for what's comfortable with me, right? So I'm
okay, well, that explains a lot. Keep going.
I'm looking honestly for two different types of places. There is a group of fish and a group of bait that will make an early transition towards the backs of the creeks, and then you'll have those fish that are still left on the main lake with groups of bait out there. So I'll look for the first stopping point inside a major creek, right? Whether it's a secondary point, 2 or 3 points inside of a small gut or something in that creek. And then I'll also go to the very backs, looking for those resident fish that live halfway back in those creeks to the very ends with a bait that stays in those creeks most of the year, right? So that's what I'm looking for mainly. And I'm looking for flat areas. And I'm looking for stopping points, right? So it may be, you may have a creek that's 2 miles long, but the last quarter mile of it is a flat that's 3 foot deep. I want to stop right before that flat and find the last part of the deep water. Because what happens is if we do start to get weather that will kind of affect the bait and the bass, they want to have deep water nearby still. So I'll look for that, 5 to 7 foot depth range right before that flat starts. Because most of the time that's where they're going to sit. And then once they get comfortable and they feel like things have been stable, then they'll move up on that flat and feed. But that's what I'm looking for. Stopping points and places where those fish can retreat to if the weather does become bad.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, and you can target those with those 4 baits you guys talked about.
Yep.
Chatterbaits, spinner baits, square bills, and lipless crankbaits, right? Those are and A-rigs. Yes, you can hit them with A-rigs and stuff, depending on your lake that you're fishing. But Pete, what are you looking for? Are you looking for the same thing that Seth is, or is there anything specific electronics-wise that you're looking for? Whether or not it's down scan, side scan, 2D sonar.
I don't hardly even look at anything this time of year.
Yeah.
Like electronics wise.
Temperature
gauge and maps, just looking for those tertiary points and stuff. See, once I figure out where the fish are in the creeks, and I'm just running bank most of the time, try to figure out. I don't look a whole lot of offshore. I know there's still some fish out there, but those aren't fish I want to catch this time of year. So
yeah. So the one thing that I will say about that is also look for the birds, man. Like, the birds are going to tell you a story about bait. Specifically, pay attention to your wind direction and where the birds are at. Like, one of the biggest things that I find is, like, you may not catch them on the bank, but you may see a herring or whatever, usually a herring on the bank. And even if you're not throwing at the bank, they still might be in that. And that's where you can really target those fish. And it's something that I've learned over the last couple of years, but specifically this year, because I've been on the water almost every single day, is most of the places that I was getting bites, and maybe it's a fluke, but I don't know, man, more than 3 times seems like a pattern to me. Anytime there's birds on the bank, in the way that the wind is pushing the water into the bank line, and those bass are set up, or I'm getting bit, right, with those birds, right? And it's not every single time, but it seems to be that the blue herring on the bank lines, the snakes, the turtles, everything else is telling me that, hey, there's so much bait in here. But it could be a bad thing, like you said, Pete. Like Pete and Seth said it, like it could be a bad thing. It could be too much bait and you're just not getting bit, because no matter how much you like it, like your bait is not imitating what they're eating, right? Yeah. So, but I still look for birds on the bank. I may not be throwing at the bank itself, because I threw at the bank for about 27 miles today and didn't get a single bite. But then I went offshore, which is in 3 to 6 foot of water, and I started getting bit. Granted, I lost every single fish that I had bite, but nevertheless, like, so something to pay attention to is just the wildlife, man. And I think, you know, I'm not going to bring it back to it, but that's the instinctual part of bass fishing, is like being so in tune with nature and trying to figure out like what the story is and stuff like that. So, but yeah, man, like fall transition. What do you think? You think it's going to be a grind fest down at Logan Martin, or you think, like, what are your thoughts on it? We got about 5 more minutes here before we wrap this up.
I mean, it's late September and the deep South. Yeah. I don't expect it to be easy, but there is several things that are in the, you know, that work in the angler's favors. Logan Martin is on the Coosa River. The Coosa River is a current generating body of water, right? Mm-hmm. So that helps fishing when it's tough. B, it also has spotted bass, and I know Pete and Trey have their own opinions on that, more so Pete than Trey. But spotted bass tend to be a little bit more aggressive in any situation. So those 2 things are working in our favor. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's going to be easy, but I'm looking forward to it. You know, I like the way the place sets up. You know, I finished 11th there last year, and by no means is that going to dictate how I'm going to finish this year, but I just like the way the fishery sets up. Yeah. I love fishing boat docks. I love fishing river type of places, and that's the way it sets up. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. Got a couple weeks left before we head down there, and I think people fish well for everyone. Sure. But I think it's going to be a good event.
Yeah. The last thing I want to ask you guys real quick before we wrap this up, we always talk about it, but we never really explain it in detail, that fall transition, that lake turnover. We talk about when the thermocline flips and stuff like that. What is it really doing? What are you looking for, Pete, when the lake turns over? Like some of the things that people can be on the lookout for as they're on their lake and like, holy crap.
Yeah, I'm looking for a dove or goosefield to go shoot birds in, because I don't want to be fishing when it happens. The easiest way is just turn your sensitivity on your 2D and look for a thermocline. If that joker is suddenly gone, your lake is probably turned over. You'll notice a change in water color. Mm-hmm. A lot of times lakes that aren't clear are suddenly clear. If you're out there and your lake's usually a little bit tannic and you can see 5 to 8 feet, your lake probably turned over. Mm-hmm. Like there's little things. It'll get this weird bubbling, greenish color. Yeah, a lot more bubbling.
You'll see stuff like leaves just kind of hovering in the water column, things like that. Those are all
you start to see
turnover.
suspended junk that's under the subsurface. It just doesn't look right. It'll be pretty obvious.
Sometimes it smells, doesn't it?
Sometimes you can get a smell.
I've never noticed that around the lakes around here.
No.
If you get in some swampy lake water where they got that nasty sulfur. Stink mud, you'll get that kind of swamp mud smell. But I always look, and if things just don't look right, try to find that thermocline. If that joker's gone, that's a pretty good sign that thing probably flipped over on you. And then it's just a matter of when.
Yep.
If it was 2 weeks ago, you might be all right. If it was last night, go find you some doves to shoot or something, because she's gonna be real tough.
Or run as far away as you can.
If you can.
Listen, I'm
if you can get away from it for sure. My dad's looking at surface temp. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm opposite of these guys. I think you should, if you really are trying to dial in your skill set in fishing, if you're that dedicated to it, rather, you should go out in the toughest conditions that you possibly can imagine. Not lightning. Let me say that. Not lightning and stuff. Be safe. Wear your PFD, wear your kill switch, all those good things that we always talk about. But there is so much to learn about not catching fish when you're on the lake if you're trying to dial it in. Like, I get it. People want to go out there. They want to catch 10-pounders every single time they go out, whatever. But you can learn so much about the lake itself, fish behavior, seasonal patterns, all these things that all the guys that hate forward-facing sonar talk about. And, you know, Easton Fothergill said it best, like, there's no better way to get better at fishing than time on the water.
Yeah.
You can't beat the guy that spends 365 days on the water. He or she is almost impossible to beat because they're staying on the fish. They're staying on the seasonal patterns. They know exactly what they're looking for. And that's why Schlopper won the Mississippi River. That's why these young guns are so good at what they're doing outside of forward-facing sonar. It's because, dude, they're not married with kids. They're on the water all the time, and they're honing in their skill set.
Schlopper won the Mississippi River because he did the exact same thing everybody else was doing. He just found better fish.
That's
He won at Sabine. He won twice.
He won twice in 2025.
Sabine was another
But
grind fish. He found better fish.
He spent more hours on the Mississippi River in pre-practice than anybody else.
It's also his home body of
100%.
water, so
Yeah, I totally
big
get
advantage,
it, right?
yeah.
But Lee Livesey's finished dead last at his home lake too, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, but like outside of those two examples, like
The beauty of this time of year is not a lot of tournaments going on, so I'm not fishing for money. So there's more fun stuff for me to do than go grind on a lake in conditions I'm probably
love
never
it.
going to fish for money.
I
That's
love
just me personally. Like, I'll
I
go
wanna
shoot
get
doves
better.
or hang tree stands and get ready to kill deer or something, and the fishing's going to get good again in a couple weeks. That's a good time for me to get all that stuff done. Get stuff around the house done on the
100%,
honeydew
yeah.
list.
That's that fair weather angler mentality. I totally
just
get it.
There's no benefit
I
to it for me.
There's a benefit if you seek the good stuff.
There we go. We're back. We had a temporary internet fart there for a minute, but
we appreciate everyone joining.
yeah, you can go fish this time of year. You can definitely learn about a lake and not catch anything. You can claim you lose every fish you hook.
Yeah, 100%.
So you have a good fish story.
You can
for
go
your
sit in a
buddies on
tree
a
stand and be
Friday
lazy
night.
too.
Or you
know?
can just go to a place full of spotted bass and catch them.
That's right.
You could.
That's
You
right.
could do that. You could go spotted bass fishing if you're in a lake where they're natural. If you're in a lake where they're invasive, go throw them on the bank for the coons.
If you want to keep your suntan all year, just spend time on the lake. You'll be all right.
No, Trey knows I fish plenty of grimy fall days, but I'm not as apt to get out there when I know she's turned over. Might go a little bit later in the day, let the sun come up a little bit. But no, that's a very short window of time in the fall when you're fishing where it's kind of that grimy deal.
It just makes you so much more grateful after you've sucked it up for a week or two, and then you go out there and
What's up,
mash
David
on it,
Fuchs?
you know?
Happy anniversary. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
go to I'll just go to the river and mash them on a buzzbait while everything else is rolled over.
Speaking of the river, we didn't talk about that. Maybe we'll talk about that in our next Fishing Friday live. The
Maybe.
Roanoke River, catching them on curly tail grubs and drop shots and stuff like that. So, but man, we appreciate you driving all the way down from Durham.
I appreciate
give it-
y'all having me. I mean, I felt like I was a stranger. I haven't been here in a while.
Yeah,
That's because you don't love us anymore.
you only live 40 minutes
I could-
away.
I'm an hour and 20, and I could say the same thing.
Hours.
I,
I don't ever get invited to the house.
I didn't get invited to the river trip
Oh,
either.
yes, you did.
All right, we'll talk about this offline
Yes, you
because there's going to be
did.
some cuss words involved. I know for a fact he got invited to other
Yeah, I
river trips.
literally said
He
was
gets
saying-
invited every year
I
on
want-
river
I want
trips,
Pete
and
to
he's still
invite me, not
scared.
Trey.
Yeah, David Fuchs.
Yeah, David
Seth
Fuchs,
is here.
how observant of you.
What's up, Nick Kincaid, Carolina Waters. Hey guys, just got in from building a deck.
You had built nothing, cuz. All you did was guys got done building. Don't lie.
His guy would be who?
His
Mikey?
guys.
It's probably
No, his
Mikey.
guys.
Yeah,
his
it's
crew.
Mikey
It's
Nader. He
Mikey.
just bosses Nader around.
well, fair enough.
No, but we appreciate y'all. Again, Trey's very worried about the legal disclaimer that all the opinions was ours. My opinion is everybody, so I don't really care what anybody else has to say.
Yeah,
Mine's
that's
the only
it.
one that matters.
Mm.
No, I'm just kidding. It does. At the end of the day, I think we're all preaching the same thing. We all love and hate it. Send me some jig colors you all like. Green, pumpkin, black, and blue. Those are the only 2 jig colors you need.
I mean, I'm not gonna go. There's nothing wrong with those 2 colors.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great colors, but I have a few different skirt combinations, little intricacies that I like.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you can't go wrong with green pumpkin and black and blue. And it's all about where you're putting it, not the color of it.
That's right.
Yeah, that's why all you need is green, pumpkin, black, and blue. Jig skirts are made to sell to fishermen, not to fish. Catch fishermen, not fish. No, there's little things with brown and stuff, but for a base, green pumpkin, and then I might throw some purple or some.
And then
different things
and then
there.
for everything else, it's dip the tip in chartreuse.
just a little bit.
I don't know.
Hey, Seth, sorry I just got here. It is my anniversary after all.
I don't even know why you're here.
Yeah, why are you here?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you be spending time with your lovely wife on your
Yeah.
anniversary?
She's actually going to comment.
Bryson
next.
Pede is watching now. Everybody's coming on late.
Hey,
Maybe we'll-
big
going on?
time. Old
Oh,
Bryson
big time.
Peed.
Be
Old
Pede
big
on,
time.
Don't
on
y'all
the
have anything
farm.
else to do on a Friday?
Mike Corbersley's watching us. Like,
Mike Harbersley's doing map recon for the.
if I would have
EPs
known
right
you
now.
guys were interested, we would have had you on instead of Seth. We would have got some actual insight then.
Oh,
Ah!
sick burn.
All I am is seed filler, Gigantopithecus. That's all he does.
The old Gigantopithecus,
Smell
bud.
seeds. That's
I
all
can't
I
believe
do.
you just like legitimized that name.
That's the name. Wait until you see his intro at the next MPFL event.
We love y'all too, the Fuchs, man. Hey, listen, if you're looking for a really cool tournament coming up November 7th, Special Operations Bass Anglers at Lake Norman. It is a for money tournament, but most of the proceeds go to a Gold Star family this year. It's in memory of Petty Officer Shannon Kent, who was killed in 2019 in January in Manbij, Syria. Every year they host it at Lake Norman. We also have a Take a Warrior fishing on Sharon Harris November 1st, right, Pete? November 1st?
Yeah, November, whatever
November-
that day is.
Yeah, it's a multi-species event. It's like 4 hours of fishing. Just go out there, take a veteran, have a great time with him or her or a group of them, depending on the platform that you're going to be bringing out. And then, those are only 2 major tournaments.
And there's
Pete-
one Sunday we're fishing.
Yep,
for
Pete and I are going to be
something.
fishing a charity tournament for Wake Med Police Department for the Special Olympics. Seth, you're going to be fishing a cat on Lake Gaston on Sunday,
Possibly, but yes.
possibly.
Yep.
So yeah, there's still tournaments going on. They're not going to be 25-pound tournaments. They're going to be, hey, this is the time.
What's up,
of year
Christine?
where
Happy anniversary.
it sucks, but go out there and get your competitive edge on, and hopefully we see you guys at the SOBA tournament.
Yeah, come take our money Sunday for a good cause because Trey and I fished every lake but Harris the last 3 months. So we're just gonna go out there and
We're gonna get
I'm just
10
gonna
pounds.
I'm going to throw in an A rig all day. So I'm gonna bring one rod.
There you go. Throw an A-rig, snag them all. Snag them all. Screw forward-facing sonar. Bring an A-rig.
I'm snagging them with
Snag 'em
I'm
all.
snagging them with forward facing sonar because it's so easy according to the people on the internet. No, but we appreciate y'all jumping on. I know we talked about a topic longer than we normally do, but it's something that we won't talk about for a long time now because frankly I'm tired of it. So what do we got coming up? If we've got some stuff in the pipe we got to
Sunday's your
get
daughter's
scheduled.
birthday.
Sunday is
Seth's daughter's birthday.
your daughter's birthday, Seth.
She is. She turns 14.
Is she fishing the tournament with you?
No, she turns 14. All she's worried about is her hair and her makeup.
So
and her
you're not
nails.
fishing the tournament.
No, I'll be there.
Yeah, we're fishing
She's
there
going to
tomorrow.
sleep until 11. It's a weighing at 2. I mean, we're not going to have a party till like 5. I'll be home plenty of time.
Oh, I didn't get an invite to that party.
And-
Did you get an
and-
invite to that party?
No.
Oh.
Christina, we didn't get
Know
an
how it
invite
feels.
to the party. So if you just want to send us whatever it is so we can RSVP,
Hey.
we'll be there.
Hey, everybody on right now. Let me just ask you a question. If you've got a friend that is like a hummingbird guru and you're having issues with your hummingbird
here
graphs,
we go. Here we go.
and you've got a friend that can barely rig up his low rances, which friend would you call if you're having issues with your hummingbird?
I called you. You were here when I called because
No,
yes.
that was after the invite when you invited Trey to come help you, and my phone remained silent. Never, not a text,
Because you're corporate America,
not a
buddy.
hello, not an fu.
He's getting ready to retire, so he's got some
Nothing.
time. You're sitting in an office.
I didn't get
called.
anything.
I got all the time.
You could have still offered. You know, I would have left work for you, Seth.
I know
He would have had to ask his boss.
exactly. He would have said, "Hey,
No, Joy would have been all right. My boss was
Ah,
awesome.
there.
She would have been like,
First. She is pretty.
I'm just like, I'm leaving.
all right.
Like,
Well,
cool.
the next time,
See you tomorrow.
I don't want to hear you say no. I can't make it when I ask.
You're not going to ask anyway.
You don't know that.
I do. I've already seen the history.
Look at
Just
this.
like you asked me to go to the river.
I didn't have to because Trey did. I told Trey to ask you.
Yeah.
He was my proxy.
Yeah.
Look, look, this
Look,
is-
come hang out with us in November because there's a lot of this going on if Seth shows up.
I'll be
But
there.
I heard he's scared. So,
I was there last year.
yeah, scared.
Where? At Norman?
You just said where, but you're going to be there. How you know
talking
you're
about
going
the
to be?
SOMA tournament?
Yeah,
Yeah.
are you coming this year?
Yeah, and
Who
I'm
you
going to
fishing
wait
with?
and fish like I did last year.
Who are you fishing with? Wait a minute. We're going to talk about this offline too. Y'all, we appreciate
of
you
all-
for helping us grow a culture of anglers, helping anglers one get.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Oh God, it's a toad, son. It's a toad, dude.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day.
Half the time